Hello and welcome back to Everyday English Talk, the podcast that helps you practice English for real-life situations. I'm Anna.
And I'm Ben. Thanks for joining us today.
Our topic today is an important life skill: how to become a better listener.
Listening is something we do every day, but it's not always easy. Being a good listener can improve your relationships, your job, and even your learning.
Sometimes we think listening means just staying quiet, but true listening is more active than that.
Exactly. So in this episode, we'll look at 4 ways to become a better listener: paying attention, showing interest, asking questions, and avoiding judgment.
We'll also explain some useful words and idioms and give you practice questions.
And don't forget, you can download the free PDF transcript and exercises from the link in the description.
Let's begin with a warm-up question. Do you think you are a good listener? Why or why not?
Think about your answer, and let's get started.
So Ben, let's start with the first step in becoming a better listener: paying attention.
Yes, it sounds simple, but it's harder than we think. Paying attention means giving someone your full focus. No multitasking, no checking messages, no daydreaming.
That's true. I remember once, my friend was telling me about her new job. I was listening at first, but then my phone buzzed. I looked down for just a second, and when I looked back up, I had completely lost the thread of her story.
I've done that too. Even one quick glance can make the other person feel ignored. Eye contact is really important. It shows respect and makes the speaker feel that you care.
Yes, and body language too. Nodding, leaning slightly forward, or just facing the speaker can show that you're really present.
The problem is, our world is full of distractions. Notifications pop up, background noise, or sometimes we just tune out because we're tired. Have you ever noticed yourself pretending to listen while your mind is somewhere else?
Oh, many times. In a long meeting, my thoughts wander, and suddenly I realize I missed the last 2 minutes. It's embarrassing when someone asks, "What do you think, Anna?" And I have no idea what was said.
I think that happens to everyone. One tip I use is repeating key words silently in my head while the person talks. It helps me focus and stay engaged.
That's a smart trick. I sometimes take notes if it's an important conversation, like in class or at work. It keeps my brain active.
Another good idea is to remove distractions before you listen. Put the phone face down, close the laptop, or even move to a quieter place.
Yes, those small choices make a big difference. Paying attention is the foundation of listening. Without it, the rest doesn't matter.
Exactly. If you want to be a better listener, start by giving your full attention. It's simple but powerful. Let's review some useful words and idioms we used.
Pay attention. It means to focus on something or someone carefully. For example, in class, it's important to pay attention so you don't miss key points.
Lost the thread. It means to lose track of what someone is saying or the main idea of a conversation. For example, I looked at my phone during the meeting and completely lost the thread of the discussion.
Tune out. It means to stop listening or stop paying attention, often because of boredom or distraction. For example, he tuned out after the teacher started explaining the same thing again and again.
Mind wanders. It means when your thoughts drift away from what you're supposed to be focusing on. For example, during the long lecture, my mind wandered to what I would have for lunch.
Make a big difference. It means to have a strong effect or impact on a situation. For example, just smiling and listening carefully can make a big difference in how people feel.
And now, let's learn a distinction that learners often ask about: hear versus listen.
To hear is a passive sense. It's the physical ability to notice sounds with your ears without necessarily focusing. Example: I heard a car alarm outside while I was working.
To listen is an active choice. It means you pay attention to a sound and try to understand its meaning. Example: I stopped working to listen to the news report on the radio.
So remember, hearing is automatic, but listening is a focused action. So Ben, paying attention is the first step in good listening, but if we stop there, it might not be enough.
That's right. Imagine someone just sitting in front of you, totally silent, no reaction, no smile. You would probably wonder if they are really listening.
Exactly. That's why the second step is showing interest. Good listeners don't just stay quiet, they give signals that they are engaged.
Signals can be very small. For example, saying short phrases like, I see, really? Or, that makes sense. Those little words tell the speaker, I'm with you, keep going.
Yes, and body language is just as important. Nodding your head, leaning forward a little, or smiling at the right moment, those are powerful ways to show you care.
I had a professor in university who always nodded when students spoke. It gave me confidence, even when my answer wasn't perfect. I thought, okay, he's listening. He values what I'm saying.
That's such a good example. On the other hand, I've also seen people pretend to listen. They sit there, but they don't nod, they don't react, and sometimes they even glance at their watch. That makes the speaker feel ignored.
Yes, that can feel discouraging. Another way to show interest is by remembering details. For example, if a colleague told you last week, I have a job interview, and this week you ask, so, how was the interview? That proves you paid attention.
People really notice when you remember small details. It shows that you didn't just hear the words, you actually cared, and that builds trust in the relationship.
But we should also be careful. Some listeners try too hard. They interrupt all the time with, wow, or, oh, me too. That can feel like they are trying to take over the story.
True. Showing interest should support the speaker, not steal the spotlight. The goal is balance just enough words and gestures to encourage, without interrupting.
Exactly. When you show genuine interest, the conversation flows more naturally, and the speaker feels respected.
And I think that's the heart of good listening. People don't only want quiet ears, they want signs that their words are being received and valued.
Well said. Showing interest turns listening into real connection.
Before we finish this part, let's check some useful words and idioms we used.
Engaged. It means actively involved and focused in a conversation. Example: she stayed engaged during the meeting by nodding and asking short questions.
I'm with you. It means a phrase to show that you understand and are following the conversation. For example, so first we go to the station, then transfer buses. Okay, I'm with you.
Take over. It means to start controlling something or dominate a conversation. For example, he always tries to take over the discussion instead of letting others share.
Steal the spotlight. It means to attract all the attention away from the main speaker or focus. For example, at the wedding, her funny story stole the spotlight from the bride's speech.
The heart of. It means the most important or central part of something. For example, trust is the heart of every strong friendship. And now, let's learn a distinction that many people often ask about: reaction versus response.
A reaction is an immediate and often emotional behavior that happens without much thought. Example: his first reaction to the news was to shout in surprise.
A response is a more thoughtful and considered reply that comes after you have processed information. Example: after thinking for a moment, she gave a calm response to his question.
So remember, a reaction is fast and automatic, while a response is slow and thoughtful. So Ben, we've talked about paying attention and showing interest. But sometimes, even if we're listening carefully, we don't fully understand what the other person means.
Right. And that's where the third step comes in: asking questions and clarifying. A good listener is not afraid to ask for more details.
Exactly. Some people feel shy about asking because they think it shows weakness. But actually, it shows the opposite. It shows that you care enough to get the message right.
I agree. For example, if someone says, the project was difficult, you can ask, what part was the most challenging? That's a polite follow-up question, and it invites the speaker to explain more.
Yes, and it also makes the conversation richer. Instead of stopping at one sentence, the speaker opens up and shares their full experience.
Another useful tool is clarifying questions. If someone says something that's not clear, you can say, sorry, could you explain that again? Or, what do you mean by that? That's much better than pretending to understand.
I agree. Pretending to understand can cause big problems later. For example, at work, if you don't ask for clarification, you might do the task wrong.
Exactly. And clarifying doesn't have to feel formal. It can be very natural. Sometimes I just repeat the last part of what the person said, like, "Oh, so you're moving to a new apartment?" That way, they can confirm or correct me.
That's a great trick. It shows you're listening and makes the speaker feel valued.
But timing matters. You should wait until the person finishes their thought before asking. Otherwise, your question might feel like an interruption.
True. If you interrupt too soon, it looks like you're more interested in your question than in their answer.
So, asking questions and clarifying is not about talking more, it's about helping the speaker feel understood.
And when both sides understand clearly, communication becomes much smoother and stronger.
Exactly. That's the power of asking questions and clarifying.
Let's review some useful words and idioms we used.
Get the message right. It means to fully understand the speaker's meaning or point. Example: asking questions helps you get the message right instead of guessing.
Follow-up question. It means a question asked after the first one to get more details. For example, she asked a follow-up question about the results to understand better.
Opens up. It means when someone starts to share their true thoughts or feelings. For example, he rarely talks about his family, but yesterday he really opened up.
Confirm or correct. It means to check if your understanding is accurate and allow the speaker to adjust if needed. For example, I repeated his instructions so he could confirm or correct me.
Finishes their thought. It means to let someone complete what they are saying before interrupting. For example, always wait until the other person finishes their thought before you respond. And now, let's learn an important distinction for communication. Assume versus clarify.
To assume is to believe something is true without proof or confirmation. Example: I assumed the meeting was at 10 a.m., but I was wrong.
To clarify is to ask questions to make sure you understand something clearly and correctly. Example: let me clarify. You need the report by tomorrow, not Friday?
So remember, don't assume you know. It's better to clarify to be sure. We've covered paying attention, showing interest, and asking questions. But there's still one more skill that makes a listener truly great: avoiding judgment.
Yes, this one is very important. Many people listen with half their brain, while the other half is already judging or preparing an answer.
Right, you can see it when someone interrupts quickly with, "Oh, that's wrong," or "You should have done this." That shuts down the conversation.
A better approach is to stay open-minded. Listen to the whole story first, then respond. It shows respect.
I remember once, my friend was talking about a mistake she made at work. I wanted to jump in with advice, but instead, I just stayed quiet and listened. She later told me that she felt relieved because she could share without being judged.
That's a perfect example. Sometimes people don't need solutions, they just need someone to listen without criticizing.
Giving feedback can help, though, if it's done gently. For example, you can reflect back. "So you're saying you felt stressed in the meeting?" That shows you understood without judging.
Yes, reflecting back or summarizing is a strong listening tool. It confirms what you heard and gives the speaker a chance to correct you if needed.
And it builds trust. When people feel safe from judgment, they share more honestly.
Exactly. On the other hand, if you judge too quickly, they will shut down and stop sharing.
So avoiding judgment doesn't mean you never give opinions. It just means you wait, you listen carefully, and you respond in a supportive way.
Well said. Listening is not about proving who is right, it's about creating understanding.
And that's why avoiding judgment and giving feedback is the final step to becoming a better listener.
Agreed. It's the step that turns listening into real connection.
Let's check some useful words and idioms from this part.
Open-minded. It means willing to listen and consider new or different ideas without quick judgment. For example, staying open-minded helps you understand people with different opinions.
Jump in. It means to suddenly enter a conversation, often interrupting. For example, He jumped in with advice before I even finished explaining the problem.
Shuts down the conversation. It means stops the flow of sharing, often because of criticism or judgment. For example, saying "that's wrong" too quickly shuts down the conversation.
Reflect back. It means to repeat or summarize what someone said to show you understood. For example, she reflected back my feelings by saying, "So you felt nervous before the exam?"
Shut down. It means to stop talking or sharing because you feel judged or discouraged. Example, he shut down after his boss criticized him harshly. And now, for our final distinction, judgment versus feedback.
A judgment is a negative opinion or criticism about a person or their actions, often formed too quickly. Example, telling someone that was a stupid mistake is a judgment.
Feedback is helpful information or advice given to someone to help them improve, usually delivered in a supportive way. Example, giving feedback could be saying, "Next time, maybe we can plan it together to avoid mistakes."
So remember, a judgment often criticizes, while good feedback aims to help. So, let's quickly recap today's episode on becoming a better listener.
First, we talked about paying attention, giving someone your full attention, keeping eye contact, and avoiding distractions.
Then we discussed showing interest, using body language, small words, and remembering details to make the speaker feel valued.
After that, we looked at asking questions and clarifying. By using polite and follow-up questions, you can make sure you really understand what the person means.
And finally, we explored avoiding judgment and giving feedback. Keeping an open mind, not jumping to conclusions, and summarizing what you hear can really improve trust and communication.
So overall, being a better listener means being active, focused, and respectful. It's not just about staying silent, it's about showing the other person that you care about what they are saying.
And the best part is, listening is a skill. You can practice it every day. Well, that brings us to the end of today's episode. We've learned that becoming a better listener takes attention, interest, good questions, and an open mind.
And remember, small changes in how you listen can make a big difference in your relationships, your work, and even your learning.
Don't forget, you can download the free PDF transcript and practice exercises. The link is in the description, so you can review today's vocabulary and test your skills.
Thanks for listening and practicing with us.
Take care, everyone, and see you in the next episode of Everyday English Talk.